again, welcome to YIC webinar 30. Thank you for joining us. This morning, I will do our welcome, mindfulness, and introduction of presenters. And then I will turn time over to Jonathan Frey, one of our CTE coordinators, who will teach us about the CTE pathways and how we can be helping our students. And after Jonathan, I will sharing a video from Juan Mejia. He was not able to join us today because, our lives are so busy, but he made us a video with the information, so we will get the presentation on MIDAS accounts, why and how, just the same. And then to round out the webinar, we'll be hearing from Michelle Knight on social media safety. So this morning for our mindfulness, I went ahead and used the new year as the catalyst to find us something. So I have some tips on how to welcome the new year with mindfulness. And the first tip I found was moving your body. It's scientifically proven that when you move your body, your brain releases feel-good endorphins that can boost your mood, improve your focus, reduce stress, and overall improve your self-esteem. Whether you go for a walk, play a sport, lift weights at your local fitness, practice yoga, or do a happy dance, any type of movement is beneficial to your mental health and can enhance your well-being. The second tip I found for us was reflecting on your past year. Before you set New Year's intentions, reflect on the past year. Reflection can help you identify areas in your life that invoke stress and anxiety, and you can come up with a plan to combat these patterns. Ask yourself these questions while you're focusing on your reflection. How have I positively dealt with stressful situations in the past year? What stressful situations are in my control and what are out of my control? What makes me feel the most relaxed? And what can I do to help myself relax when I feel anxious? I think those are all great questions to ask yourself as you reflect upon your past year. The third tip I found for us was setting realistic goals and habits that you can incorporate into your daily routine. And I know this is one of my follies, so I especially appreciate this tip. So it suggests it's tempting to use the new year as an opportunity to drastically change your life, but such intentions can be unrealistic and can cause you to burn out and give up quickly. Instead, set incremental goals and habits that you can easily start to incorporate into your daily routine. These could include going for a walk every day, making a new recipe, adding more veggies to your diet, carving out time to read for 15 minutes, or other positive activities into your morning and evening routines. Identifying simple habits can help you work towards your broader goal and make sure that they fit easily into your current routine so you're not overwhelmed. So the fourth tip I have for us today is to make time for self-care. And as you all know, this is where I get on my soapbox because we all need to take time, whether it be a few minutes each day or specific routines that we've created. Block out time in your day and your week to practice self-care and relax. Self-care can look different for everyone, but it is about finding the activity that helps you feel your best mentally, physically, and of course, what helps you relax. Try these ideas as you practice self-care. So one was to treat yourself to a specialty tea or coffee while you're journaling. Go for a walk outside without your phone. That I feel like is a challenge as well as a good idea. Finish the simple tasks you've been procrastinating on. Practice yoga, even just simple stretches at your desk or some timed breathing. And then it suggests trying something new, like going to a class or a museum visit, which I quite liked. And it reminded me of how many opportunities we have in Utah for such museum visits and activities. Anyway, and then watch a movie with your favorite people or friends. And the last tip they had for us was listen to music while you make dinner. And I thought that was fun because that's another way to get you moving. Okay, well, thank you so much again for joining us. It looks like Jonathan is with us. Hooray, while I was talking, I wanted to make sure. All right, before I turn time over to Jonathan, though, I want to take a minute to introduce him and then Michelle Knight. So Jonathan Frey is a CTE coordinator at the Utah State Board of Education, and he's had a full career in the CTE field in a variety of different roles. In 2003, he graduated from BYU with a bachelor's degree in technology, teacher education, with an emphasis in multimedia and design. He was employed at Pleasant Grove Junior High for 8 years, where he taught CTE classes and was the new teacher and data specialist. He was also the coach, he also coached 9th grade girls and boys basketball, track, and 8th grade football. With fellow teacher Dave Myers, Jonathan won the Program of the Year for the state in 2007, ITEEA Program of the Year in 2007, and the Alpine PTA Teacher of the Year in 2010. Jonathan also earned his master's degree from BYU in Educational Leadership and Foundations in 2009. He was hired as an elementary principal, secondary assistant high school principal, CTE director, athletic director, and varsity coach in McIntosh, South Dakota. Sounds like some of our rural district administrators here in Utah. Anyway, while he was there, he was able to get the district CTE approved, which was one of the first in the state, with only 187 students, and that was total pre-K through grade 12. Before accepting his current position at the state board, he was an assistant principal, CTE director, and CE robotics instructor at the Utah County Academy of Sciences, an early college at high school located on UVU's campus. He is a devoted husband, probably devoted father as well, and busy father of 7, ranging from ages 10 through 22. He is an avid outdoorsman, sports fanatic, and wannabe amateur runner. He enjoys long road trips with his family and can be found reading or napping in his spare time. Thank you so much for carving out time in your schedule to present for us, Jonathan. But before I turn over, like I said, I also wanted to introduce Michelle Knight. Michelle is the Project Aware Grant Manager at the Utah State Board of Education, which focuses on suicide prevention and mental health resources for K through 12 schools. Previously, she worked as a project facilitator for the University Neuropsychiatric Institute at the University of Utah Hospitals and Clinics, overseeing the development and implementation of the Safe UT app. While working on her MHA and MBA at Weber State, Michelle coordinated the $3.4 million merger of the mental health resources, in which she oversaw the development of the statewide crisis line and the 3-digit text line. She's a certified QPR instructor and graduated from Weber State University with a Master's of Health Administration in 2019 and a Master's of Business Administration in 2019 as well. She needs to update her bio because since then she's also become a mom. All right, so with that, let me stop presenting. Oops, wrong thing. And we will turn the screen over to Jonathan.
All right, thank you so much. And I can share mine, correct?
Yes, you should be able to. Just let me know if you have any issues.
All right, tell me if everybody can see that.
Yeah, you're good to go.
Perfect. And then again, it's on my bigger screen, so if there's an issue, please let me know and we can make adjustments. But again, thank you for having me. CTE is one of my passions, and so having been a CTE teacher and done everything I have so far in my career, this is really just, you're going to hear my soapbox this entire hour, because this is really where I have a strong passion, and just, again, the future of our kids is where I feel like I live in, where we're preparing students through our high school and even our college programs to be able to provide them with skills and the abilities to be successful and be not only successful in their life, but financially, which is really a big part that we're concerned with in helping our next generations be able to prepare for themselves. So kind of give you an outline of what we're doing today, just kind of what we're looking at is I'm going to give you kind of a really rundown of what our pathways are that you'll find in our high schools, as well as kind of open it up. I want to keep this informal, so please stop me along the ways as you have questions or anything like that. Again, as informal as you guys want, but definitely in the end, I want to be able to answer questions on how can we help the youth in custody programs and help them prepare for when they can get out and have jobs and be successful. That's really what we're looking at here. So again, as Amanda has said, I'm a CTE coordinator here at USBE. I'm in my 5th year here and have loved every minute of it. The things that I oversee is the program side of CTE. So anything that happens in the classroom when it comes to the courses through pathways, licensing. So if your teachers have licensing issues, that's I work with. And then we also have some testing services that are required that we also put through. Again, you already read my bio, so I'm going to jump over this one. Having been in as a teacher as well as an administrator, I see a lot of the effects of that CTE has had over students and help them through that. So just a quick overview of CTE. Our mission is that we want to provide students with a high quality, rigorous, career-focused programs that they can attain credentials that are at the market value. And then that's really the part that we're looking at is what can we give kids in high school that's theirs, that they can take away and walk away with. You know, they can walk away with their high school diploma, and we know where that goes. But if they have some credentials that walk with them, it helps them in their interviews, it helps them in their post-secondary experiences. You know, there's a lot of different levels that those things help with. So that's really where we're trying to help them attain those while in high school. It is a K-12 system. And so we do a little bit of touch in the younger grades, but it is a K-12 public education system. And then also we do oversee our tech colleges across the state and some of the university side of it as well. So we do touch even into the post-secondary. Really what we're trying to do is introduce students to career options. The best way I love to say it is we try to help students find what they really like and what they really don't like. I mean, we're trying to find both sides of it so that students can make the best informed decisions going into the next one, assisting in development of those career goals. As they figure out along the process of what they want to be when they grow up, you know, there's just helping them create those career goals and be able to help them then attain those career goals as soon as we possibly can. We're trying to provide technical skills. And so again, as you guys have been through your high school situations, where we've got the metal shops, the wood shops, the kitchens, the business labs, you know, all these different technical skills that these students can learn so they can actually take them into a potential future career. And then the last one, again, helping them plan for their education and training. And again, there's one of the big soapboxes that I always jump on is we live in a generation where, you know, I want my kids to go to college. I'm sure many of you want your kids to go to college, but is that the right decision? And we have many opportunities here in the state where maybe a student doesn't fit in the college system, and that's okay. We can provide them opportunities where they can go straight into a career. Right now in our what we call the blue collar jobs, we have thousands of unfilled jobs here in the state that we could easily fill tomorrow with our high school graduates. They're jobs that they don't need to go to college right now, that they can go and make a decent living off of those jobs. We have jobs where a year or two worth of post-secondary education at our tech colleges or smaller colleges or like SLIC or anything like that, where they have different opportunities where students can go there for a year or two and receive those technical skills. And so it's helping them prepare for those future education and training is really where we're trying to guide them so that they can make the right decisions as they move. So again, how are students exposed to CTE? Through our K6 programs. A lot of you have heard of the elementary STEM programs. That stems from a large part of what we do. We work very closely with our teaching and learning partners, and they oversee a large part of that with science and math. We're the technology part of it. And so, and obviously the engineering is very much into our realm as well. And so we help them in that space to give the students some hands-on opportunities as well as provide them with projects, kind of giving those ideas and integrating them through that system. One of our big ones that's kind of a big topic here in the state is our computer science protocols that we're putting into our elementaries. That's coming out of my department, where we're trying to get the CS skills down further into the elementary level. Within middle school and junior highs, we have a college and career readiness course that's usually taught around the 7th grade, sometimes 8th grade. again, trying to open the minds of our young students to start thinking about not only what courses to take at high school, but where does that lead to, so that they're not just kind of hodgepodging through high school and graduating with just a whole lot of everything, trying to help them be more intentional. And so we start that process in that CCA course in junior high. And then of course, high school, we got our CTE pathways that we'll jump into and explain in just a minute. Again, helping students be intentional about what they're taking, that they're not just taking courses because they're best friends in that class, and trying to help them make those decisions early as an informed client is what I will call them, as they go through the process, because really they're our clients in our high schools, and helping them make that right decision, and hopefully making those decisions early. And this is kind of where I jump into my own little soapbox of my own experience. I grew up in Idaho, and I have 9 siblings. So, college was going to be on me. There's no way my parents could afford it for everyone. And in Idaho, they don't have a robust CTE program like we do in Utah. They're budding, and they're doing some great things right now, but it's, I graduated 25 years ago, so they just didn't have that program up there. And I think I talked to my school counselor maybe once. I applied to one one college out of high school, which was Westminster. And if you've ever seen how expensive Westminster is, the scholarship that I was granted was just a smidgen of what it was cost me, and it took me several years into going to BYU where I didn't have a clue. And that's part of where my passion comes into this, is we want to help kids get a clue earlier, so they're not going to waste, all the student loans that I get to pay off, that we don't want them to have to go through that same process, and they can make those decisions earlier and go through the process where it took me 5-6 years to get through the university program to where I am now. But they don't need to go through that full thing. We can get them earlier, give them opportunities with concurrent enrollment, kind of streamline some of those processes, save them a lot of money, and get them into the career force sooner. Other programs we do have is we work very closely with our school counseling program. Every student in high school is required to complete a plan for college and career readiness, or a CCR. And that's part of what we help and provide opportunities there, and some funding with those counseling, just to help them be informed of what opportunities are there. And then we have a work-based learning program, which is a K-12 program. And this is where you're looking at job shadowing, and some, a lot of times if you see in our high schools, we'll have people come in and present on their careers. That's all through that work-based learning process. And then the ultimate thing is we would love to see students doing internships and apprenticeships, getting those hands-on opportunities as a senior to really see, is this really what they want to do, and get excited about the next steps after they graduate, and looking at that career opportunity, or even post-secondary. And the cool thing about the internships that do happen, we do see a lot of our high school kids get offered positions, and those positions help pay for some of these kids to get through college, not only with their own personal income, but we've also seen, and we're seeing this more and more, where the employer is paying for the college because they see how valuable it is to have these kids in their workforce, and they don't want to lose them because they've had an excellent internship and now are a productive employee. And so that's, again, kind of where we're moving towards more and more of how can we provide more internship opportunities for our students as they end their high school experience. So how do we prepare? Well, we do have our pathways that I'll jump into in just a minute. One of the things that we do offer is, and it's required, it's actually a federal requirement that we have, is to provide students an opportunity to plan from the middle grades all the way through high school. And that's how we've designed our CTE pathways. We're trying to implement more and more the appropriate academic and skill development in the courses. We have advisory committees where we're working with our industry partners. We're finding out, what does industry really need for our students to have when they graduate from high school. And that's really where we're trying to have that, so that we're not having gaps when students graduate and are looking at those positions. We work very closely as well as with our post-secondary partners for that same purposes of what can we help prepare students so that when they graduate, they're ready for the next course when they graduate. So that's a large part of what we're looking at. Concurrent enrollment, we actually take up the space of 1/4 of all concurrent enrollment or CTE courses. And the big thing with these concurrent enrollment courses, we don't just approve courses because they're being offered. We're approving them because they're built into the majors, the programs that they have in the post-secondary. And so they're not wasted courses. If a student's plan on going into a post-secondary course or program, these courses will actually apply into that program and help them move, hopefully removing potentially a year, 2 years worth of some of those major courses, and they can move along a lot faster. We are required to have industry and state skill assessments. We have hundreds of tests. We have a wonderful partner with UScience, and they help us develop those tests and proctor the tests. And we've worked with them for the past 20 years, and they're just a wonderful partner, as well as they have other things, like they have an aptitude test that is very awesome that they've developed over the last 10 years that our students use a lot to help them through being intentional about courses to take. And of course, our industry recognized credentials of value. We work very closely with Certiport and some of these other ones, Adobe. Students can actually earn those attainments those credentials in high school, so that they can go in and work for some of these industry partners, organizations, and already have attained those requirements when they're walking through the door. So before I jump into the pathways, any questions you guys might have? Just overview.
Check in the chat for us real quick. Not seeing anything there, but friends, if you want, you're welcome to come off mute and ask questions.
Yeah, hi. How's it going, brother?
Hey, good. How you doing, David?
Good, man. I think, one of the things I liked is that the opportunity, and maybe even some kids love presenters, and they love, especially kids that can't get out. They love when companies bring people in to share about their careers and how they got there and what they do. They absolutely love those opportunities to be a part of. So if that's something that we can take advantage, I think that would be a great opportunity for our kids.
And I agree. And I think part of what you're asking right there, David, is how do we do it? I think that's where we're looking at it is, and I'm just going to do a little thing. Oh, David and I have known each other for quite a few years, so it's awesome to have him at USB now. I saw that a month or two ago, but I think that's part of. I know Benji, who's on here, he and I have also had that conversation of how do we get those opportunities in there. Hey, Travis, and be able to implement those into those programs so they have those opportunities.
Just to dovetail on that real quick, because Dave was thinking along the same lines I was with the Perkins obligation for corrections ed. And I know we've done some things in the past, carving out a little bit of change to do some targeted work that checks boxes for you and then checks boxes for the YIC group as a whole. With the NEPRIS K-12 virtual job shadow merger and some of the UScience work that you've done, it might be a real opportunity if we could do a state level YIC partnership with CTE that provides those kinds of tools to counselors and into the classroom. And it gets to what Dave's talking about, which is a virtual job shadow opportunity for check and connect mentors to use, obviously the aptitude work that UScience is doing. So maybe after this is all said and done, if you get a chance to reconvene with the YIC team and see what that would actually take. I don't think it would be a high cost, but it would be a great way to kind of show good faith for the work that's happening statewide in YIC.
And I agree. That'd be a great opportunity to look at and see. And we do a large part of that with, talking about virtual opportunities. We talk about that with our rural areas. They don't have as many opportunities as we do in our urban areas. And so being able to provide some of that, bringing in a presenter virtually in this day and age with what we're doing like right now. It's not that hard to bring somebody in, and the cost of that's minimal because there's no travel or anything like that. I mean, there's definitely a lot of those opportunities I think we could definitely look into. So I think that's a great idea, Travis. Thank you. Okay. Real quick, I'm going to go over a overview of the pathways for those of you who don't understand the pathways, haven't seen these before. I just want to go through the process just so you can see it, and then I'll add to the next conversation that I want to have is how do we implement some of this into our youth in custody. And then it's one of those questions, and again, Benji and I've had this conversation of the struggle that sometimes you guys have as these kids potentially graduate from high school, but they're still in your programs. Then what? You know, and some of those things that we're looking at of how can we continue to provide opportunity. So let me jump real fast into these, and again, please stop me if you have any questions. So again, a career pathway shows direct connection between doing well in high school and being able to transition smoothly to post-secondary opportunities. And again, every time I say post-secondary, please don't think post-secondary as college, university. It's any opportunity after secondary, you know, getting a good job when they graduate. You know, how can we get that connection and help them transition? As we're looking at pathways, the requirements we look at is high wage, high skill, and high demand. You know, and these are ors. These are not ands. These are ors. So a high wage job. We want kids to be able to earn to their potential and have high skills. And then we're looking at what career opportunities are in Utah. And what's the high demand and even the emerging careers? Because, you know, we look at some of these jobs that, I mean, there's half of these jobs that when we were in high school, I mean, we've never heard of. And so a lot of these things that are emerging, we're looking at those, and so we don't have pathways for everything. You know, that's the part of what we're looking at is we'd love to have more pathways, but we want to be intentional to help kids maximize their opportunities, knowing that there are jobs out there that don't fall into our CTE world. Some of the definitions that I'll talk about here, career clusters, there's 16 of them that are federally put out there. Again, those are just a cluster of careers from industries, all related. We have our pathways, which again is that sequence of courses that is basically the roadmap for those courses. Concentrator and completer, again, I'm just throwing these in there just because there'll be things that we'll be talking about. Concentrator, these are things we report to the feds at the end of the year, but we've also integrated them into the context of our pathways. So a concentrator is any student who completes 2 courses, one of them at the concentrating course level. You'll see that in just a second in that specific pathway. And a completer are those who complete 3 credits. And again, one of those being that concentrating level. Again, part of the intention of where they're going. And so we use these terms a lot in CTE, even though they are also things we report. Here's our pathways currently. We have 35 pathways right now. We kind of fluctuate. We add one here, we take one away. But these are the ones that we have currently. There's a lot of courses. I want to say we have about 280 courses that can be offered in a high school. And so a lot of the high schools will choose which ones best fit their communities, fits their students. And that's really part of what part of our intention of CTE is helping communities grow their own. You know, what do they offer within their community so students will actually stay there and help develop those communities. Again, knowing that some are going to leave, but some do stay. And so that's part of what we're looking at. And the local LEAs get to choose what courses they offer, what pathways they offer. So looking at the pathway, here's one of our charts, programming and software development's the pathway, the cluster of CCS and IT. And you can kind of see the big picture here from junior high all the way through post-secondary. So I'm going to just jump in and define it real fast so you can kind of see the process. Our junior high courses, we don't offer a ton. There's not a whole lot of room in our junior highs and middle schools to have a lot of elective courses. as well as we want to keep it broad. They're looking for experiences in junior high to help them make decisions. And so in this case, you can see the college and career awareness course required for every student. So they all take that one. And then if they were interested in a CSIT area, here's some potential courses that could be offered in their middle school, depending on who their teachers are, who they've hired, and their opportunity there. Really just all these courses are very beginner level, touching into it and get them moving. Jumping into high school, one of the things, and then we haven't really got into the actual pathway yet. These are listed on purpose. We have a list what we call supporting courses. One of the things that we've found over time, and then we see consistency as we've been moving, is that when students get into an area that they really enjoy, that kind of moves out and it benefits other courses. And so like in this area of computer science, we're telling them that, you know, your high school courses matter. I mean, so a lot of times we're checking boxes as we're going through high school. You have to take this class. Yes, I'll take it, but I don't have to enjoy it. Well, now we're saying, you know what? Like in this case, you've got these math courses, they do matter. If you want to be successful in computer science, put the effort into it. Learn with all that you can so that you can be a better employee. You're going to have the knowledge. And then really we're trying to put more and more into what we call the academic courses to help students really look at a bigger, broader picture of high school can matter. And as you learn more through that process. So next one is where our pathways technically start for somebody who wants to be a completer in high school. Is we have these Explorer courses, and that's all they are. They're Explorer. We want them to touch things. We want them to get in there. And this is really where we're saying, find what you really like and find what you don't like. Find that fits your personality. For me personally, I'm not a big blood guy. Going into the health science area, no thanks, not my area. You know, and so those are the type of things that we're looking at, but I'm an analytical guy. I love to analyze. I way overanalyze, especially when I was a coach. I hate watching other teams play because I analyze the coaches more than I do the team. You know, I do that at all levels. It's just the way I'm built. And so, you know, figuring out those types of things when you're taking these Explorer courses, that's really our intention, is figure out what you really like and you know who you are, and then be intentional when you make the next level. Usually these courses are very much your freshman, sophomore, and high school level. As you can see here, we're starting to offer concurrent enrollment courses. You know, so students can start early. If I want to go into computer science, I could jump in and start taking these concurrent enrollment courses now and start through that process. The next level are these concentrating courses. And these courses are unique to each pathway. There's no duplication across pathways, where the Explorer level, there's potential duplication across pathways just based on content. And really for us, we're saying that if you're liking this area, you're starting to make an intentional decision to say, yeah, I want to go deeper. I want to know more. This is really where I'm starting to work on the depth of my education and taking these courses. And that's again, going back to our federal definitions of our state definitions that we have of becoming a concentrator in our high schools. And this is where we work really closely with our counselors of saying, you know, identifying who are these kids who are starting to take these more intentional courses, so we can help them and be more intentional as they make their plans. Last are these completer courses. These are our advanced courses. And so really the intent of these completer courses is, when they finish this, what is the next step? Is it going to be an internship so they can have that hands-on opportunity for a semester? And when they graduate, when they finish these, the next course that if they're going to go on is going to be the next level at the post-secondary level, or in many of these cases, in this one, if they've taken all these concurrent enrollment courses, you know, they've already completed their freshman and sophomore years worth of their major. And so they're jumping in, finishing up whatever GEs they may need to finish, but they're jumping in as a junior when it comes to a lot of these courses. I mean, they're in these upper level courses now as a freshman, which also helps them be more successful and prepared when they get into college. We're not having them squander maybe a freshman year, because now they know what they want. They're moving forward and finding the success they need. We also make a connection into our post-secondary systems. This utahmajors.org is one of my favorite websites. And so for our high school kids, I tell them all, jump on there, type in what you want to be when you grow up, and it'll actually show the universities in the state who offers that program. And this again is another one of my soapboxes is, yeah, sure, I'm a BYU grad. Should all my kids go to BYU? And then that's where I sit there and say, that would be nice, but that's not what they should go where they have the program that can be offered for them. And so far, I'm 0 for 4 that followed into BYU. So they've gone elsewhere. But part of that is to help them find the program across the state that really will help them. And that's part of what that utahmajors.org is. The other thing with the USBE website, with our USBE partners, our tech colleges and our university partners are all now under one board. And so all the information's on that website, and if a good resource for you guys to have as you're looking at potential helps that may be things that we can bring into your systems. We also include the College 1, 2, 4 or more. If any of you have followed any of this, this is a Governor Herbert initiative. Oh gosh, Travis, was that probably 2010? Does that sound about right?
Yeah, we did. There was a lot of action there for a window of time. Like there was a lot of significant interest. So yeah, it's been a while.
Yeah, and so we've kind of held on to that, and really the intent we have is what can a student earn with 1 to 2 years worth of a certificate? Here's a good place to start your process. And building on, if you want to go earn that associate's or that bachelor's, you're kind of given the bigger picture of really where could you potentially end up through the process. So we have that on all of them, just so students can see, this is the job I'd like to be now, and maybe in the future and get something bigger, whatever their plan is in that. We also have student organizations. I'm going to do this one quickly, but again, hands-on opportunities for students in high school where they can go to competitions and see some more of that hands-on real world opportunities as early as a freshman. Jumping back to the pathway chart, all of these courses that are on here that are our CT courses have strands and standards that define that course. So that's large part of what my specialists do is develop what these courses are. We don't just say, here's a course, go figure it out as a teacher. We help define the minimum. Here's what should be taught in this course, so the students actually have a plan, and it builds through the courses. So for instance, your computer programming 1 builds to computer programming 2, and that's how we build those through the process, so students can keep moving where we don't have the duplication, things like that. And so let me jump over to the website real fast. In our CT website, when you're going through, you're looking at the career clusters. This is how we define everything through the pathways. I'm going to jump back into that same exact one, computer science and information technology. If you're looking at specific course information, and then they're designed and developed by pathways. So jumping in back into that computer programming one, that'll open up the strands and standards for the course. So you can actually see what exactly is the requirements for the course and how can we best implement them through whatever high school situation you're in. And so it's all defined in there. We have these performance skills, this is the intent of what the students should be learning. And we grade them based upon those performance skills. Let me jump back. And each one of these pathways, I'll have that. So some of these are attached to standards that are outside of USBE. So for instance, if they wanted to go into cosmetology, there's requirements through DOPL. And so we tie into the DOPL program. And so the students, when they actually completed like a cosmetology certificate, they actually are receiving the full certificate through DOPL. And when they can actually go in and have a career, and we've seen this happen a lot of times where our students will earn those certificates, and then they start performing as a cosmetologist, hairstylist, barber out of high school, and that's what pays the process as they go through and earn another degree if that's what they want to earn. It's kind of a cool process that they actually have a skill that they can always fall back on and be able to utilize through the process. So we do see that happen quite a bit through our different certificates. So here's the pathways one more time. So I want to jump in and just again have that conversation. You know, what courses, pathways could be developed into the YIC programs. I'm going to kind of open it up and how can I help you? Because the YIC, I know secondary really well. When it comes to YIC, those are the conversations that how can we help you? How can we work through that process?
Jonathan, awesome presentation, by the way. And just for a plug, be grateful that none of you were either one of my children. So my oldest was a guinea pig for this entire process. And as a result, he graduated with his associate's degree out of high school, which netted him a scholarship, graduated at the age of 20, moved out at the age of 21, I think. And we still speak. So it's good. He actually leveraged all the things that Jonathan just talked about, and it really paid off. My daughter just tells me to go pound sand, but my son was a little bit more agreeable to the process. With that said, Jonathan, I think one of the things we definitely want to do as a follow-up to this is see if you can't get with Jill McKinley and with Dave to get a real understanding of what they're trying to accomplish on the JJYS correctional side when it comes to vocational, what they're calling vocational programming.
Mm-hmm.
CTE really hasn't been at the table, but it's an interesting conversation, especially when you talk about access for students that are non-graduates or don't have a high school equivalency and are still being served by the YIC program. There might be an opportunity there to check some more boxes. So that right now, that's 4 institutions roughly that you would kind of get a feel for what they're doing, programs that would include everything from welding to automotive down at Slate Canyon, composites course, I believe in Ogden. But yeah, I think it's the missed opportunity if we don't at least get your eyes on it and you know what's happening there. So if and when something does come up and they reach out, you'll know kind of how to guide them.
I agree fully, though, and I think that's a large part of it is we just don't know what's going on, and that's where I look at this going. You know, I would love to help, but I don't know how. So I agree with that.
Absolutely, Travis, and I think you're spot on that. It's getting the people to the table and having those conversations and starting somewhere and seeing, you know, getting on the same page of what direction, how we want this to grow, and what we want this to look like in the facilities. So I think that would be a great opportunity that we can facilitate going forward.
Thank you, Jonathan. I work at USBE as well. I'm a youth and custody education specialist. A lot of people on this call or that will be watching this video are working with students in mainstream classrooms that are in foster care. And if you're familiar with foster care, it's a highly mobile population, and these students tend to go to multiple schools. And so I guess my question for you is, do you have any guidance for these mentors as they're working with these students in schools of some programs or some directions that might be more conducive for that mobility?
The one thing that I would, and again, you're absolutely right. The mobility side of this is, and the hardest part, in all honesty, with the mobility is this high school is going to offer this program, and you move to another high school and it offers a different program that isn't the same, you know, and trying to get the cohesiveness of getting that process. I mean, I think that's the part that's the struggle. But I also think that if we can help these, especially foster kids who are looking for stability, you know, they're looking for their thing that'll help them be successful. And I think, and again, I know I'm saying a tiny portion of understanding in that whole process, but I think that part of this is if we can help them see their potential through these coursework and having those conversations of saying, hey, what courses are you taking? What do you really like? You know, and And as they're moving to the next family and the next high school, having that same saying, hey, remember you like this course. Let's go find this same one in the next college, in the next high school, or the next best thing. And I think that's the big thing we're looking at is what's the next best thing. And if it's the same thing, fantastic. Let's just get them in there and keep them involved. One of the things that, and I think especially with our foster care system is helping them find success, get in that high school graduation. One of the things that, again, throwing just arbitrary numbers out there is 95% of our pathway completers graduate from high school. And so having these kids invested into the program because they want to be there. Now high school isn't something they dread going there. They're excited to get there. And I've had experience after experience with my own experience or education teaching situation where, I'd have kids come in rough situations and they're passing my classes. I was a metal shop teacher, hands-on fabrication. We were building boxes and lots of little things that just giving them those experiences. And they took every one of my classes, but they failed every other class, and I think and this is the conversations we're even having with our teachers is what's the influence of that teacher as well. As you have these foster kids in these high schools, asking the question of who's your favorite teacher? Why? What's that personality of that teacher so that we can help you find another teacher and let's help you find another program where they're going to be invested. They want to be at school. You have the discipline goes out the door. There's no discipline all of a sudden. They want to be there. They want to be successful. And part of that's we educate our teachers to say, you have kids like my situation where they were passing my class. Now I can have a different conversation with that student to say, I see that you're not passing these other classes. Why not? And leveraging these educators to be the mentors as well, and helping. So now we're all on the same team, and helping them see that they have teachers in their corners that will help them be successful. I've sat down. When I was at UCAS, again, being early college, high school, we didn't have discipline problems. So, as an assistant principal, I didn't deal with discipline. I tutored. That gives me the opportunity where again, in my analytical mind, I knew kids who were struggling in physics. Now as an educator, I'm leveraging the opportunities for students. And I'm helping them study for their physics test. I'm going over their test afterwards because I could go to the teacher and say, hey, let me see their test. How can I help this student understand these concepts so when the next test comes, they'll be ready? And utilizing, again, being an administrator, having some time that was easier than some of our educators who are way busy, but those educators become your partners in that process, and having that communication, I think, opens the door for more opportunity. As well as we do with a lot of our teachers, the one thing that is nice about CTE is our teachers get together a lot. And so even though they might be moving from one school to another school, those teachers know each other as well. And having some of that conversation might help in the sense of saying, hey, I'm moving from East High and now I'm going over to Hillcrest. What teachers do you know over there? And a lot of times our teachers talk, they know each other and they'll be able to say, hey, go take this teacher. You really like this one. And so leveraging some of those things through that mobility is our teachers do know each other, and we bring them together for conferences multiple times a year, and that potentially could help with that transition as well. Does that help, Julie?
Yeah, it does. I think you said a lot of really good, valuable things. I think just that connecting and exploring, right? I think goes a long way. And you gave lots of examples of how we can connect and explore. So I appreciate that. Thanks.
Yeah, no problem. Other questions on that?
Well, and I'm curious too, mentor friends, do we have any success stories where you guys can talk to us about kids you've had in CTE pathways? Because I always like to celebrate our successes, of course. Well, everybody got quiet, I guess.
The other question is this last one is as we're looking at with our youth in custody, or even as Julia brought up the foster kids, is how can we bring certifications into those programs? How can we provide opportunities for these kids as they are looking at transitioning out of the programs or graduating from high school? How can we do a better job in helping them earn those certificates, getting them some industry opportunities? And do you already have some things that you have in place that we can help with to broaden it out? So that's really a big question of how can I help in that sense where kids have ownership to something when they're moving to the next level or transitioning out of high school or any of those youth in custody situations.
Yeah, Jonathan, you're spot on, and what Julia was getting to is a very interesting conversation, which is to say that our population, uniquely so, has post-secondary funding available to them in foster and proctor relationships, which is a barrier that's kind of removed. But what we don't necessarily do systematically is assign them to post-secondary transition like coordinators. We have ETCAs working with lots of secure care youth, but we haven't expanded that necessarily. I know that YIC is talking about that already. They're already kind of going down that road. It'd be very interesting to have kind of a workforce development post-secondary person coordinating some of that. So to Julia's point, as they move from place to place, or they are, at least if they have a plan, right? How are they able to maintain that plan even as movement happens? And it still leads them to a post-secondary opportunity. And the CTE work is aligned very closely to that. So that would be a very interesting development over time, because the money's there, the opportunity's there. The shepherding may or may not, or the mentoring may or may not be there to facilitate that. And, with counselors at 350 to 1 or 400 to 1 or whatever it is these days, and the mobility, I don't know that our students are necessarily tying in to those systems, especially over year over year, to access or to realize their plans if they have one.
For sure. No, I agree. And I think that's part of my question is what services are there? Because I have no idea. I'm thinking of some of our programs like Gear Up that are in the high school situation where they do help with students, but how many of your students actually are able to utilize those programs through that transition? And then once they do graduate, what's next? What helps them? Are we losing kids because of that right there? They graduate and all of a sudden the system changes. And what can we do better in the sense of helping with that process, especially as we are planning with counseling and advisement at the post-secondary and these other areas. So yeah, large part of that, those are kind of the things that are going through my mind as they're going through that process is what's next? How can we help them through that next process?
I think this is also, to add to the conversation, just another opportunity for our mentors to build those bridges with school counselors and make sure they've, made that connection when they get a new student and say, hey, based on the transcripts, is there a conversation I should be having with this student about CTE courses? Or is this, like you suggested, Jonathan, which I loved, is there a CTE teacher I can connect this student to? So when I'm not here, they know they have a person in the building that they can go to. I really loved that part of the conversation.
And we know high school kids gravitate to the teacher they like. All of my kids have done it. I'm sure we did it as students. We all gravitate to those teachers we get along the best. And what a huge support system that potentially could be, and help them through the process. So I agree with that 100%, Amanda.
Well, and so does Lana from the comments. She's added, these classes and pathways get students to school and give them motivation, direction, and skills. These trades are absolutely needed and can be so helpful for students who potentially may not graduate. And I agree. I mean, you mentioned it, Jonathan, they can get their certificate. So we may not get them to a diploma, but if we get them to a certificate, they're not leaving us empty-handed.
And sometimes, again, some of these really, really tough situations, you know, that certificate potentially will lead to a job, where sometimes a high school diploma is nice to have, but it doesn't give them that job, you know, and opening the door even for a GED with that certification, maybe that's the next step. I mean, for some of these tough situations, again, every student's so unique with their needs, but really, how can we help them be successful in our society? That's our goal. Okay, any other questions? I'm going to throw up my contact on here so you guys all have it. Again, please contact me if you need anything. This is the kind of stuff I love. You know, if I can come in and see programs and help you through it, I would love to help where I can. If you have questions, you know, any opportunities, some of those things that Travis, you brought up, you know, I would love to see future meetings in the sense of how can we be at the table to help through that process and leverage the processes that are already in place. You know, we're not reinventing the wheel in this. We just sometimes miss the guidance that we need because we just don't know. And so, you know, helping some of that, definitely, you know, please contact me, and I do respond quickly. So I try. Yeah,
I can vouch for that, Jonathan. You're always faster than me, and I'm quite impressed because you're a coordinator. So, absolutely. And Benji's saying thanks in the chat, just so you know, in case you can't see that on your screen. I know Benji was busy this morning with multiple meetings, so he's probably multitasking as we speak. Well, thank you. Thank you. This was a great presentation. I hope the mentors and folks who are participating and watch the recording understand, you know, the value of these CTE pathways. This is something I've seen come to life in some of the kids I've worked with. And like we've all shared this morning, it changes them, it gets them there, it motivates them. You go from a kiddo who doesn't want to get out of bed and go there to showing up early to catch the bus to get over to the applied tech college. So yeah, I think this is a great way to help our kids build social communities and learn skills. So thank you so much, Jonathan. I really appreciate you taking time this morning, and we look forward to future work.
Sounds great. Thank you so much. And just real quick, last comment, even when I'm going to call me as a normal parent, because I don't think I'm normal, but I'm going to call it that, you know, we have our own struggles too. I've got a daughter that we've got her in a brand new school this year, and this is the first year, she's a freshman, that I don't have to get her up in the morning. I don't have to force her to school. She's going. And if you find that right program, oh my gosh, it is so much a lift on as a parent. And so, you know, I've fought my daughter for 9 years now, and now I don't have to. So it's a huge lift off of parents' shoulders, and especially in situations where foster care, where that's a whole nother level of different responsibilities, and that having them in the right program where they're happy, that makes a big difference. So I appreciate it. And again, please let me know where I can make a difference.
Well, we will definitely be in touch, I know, moving forward. So I'm excited to see where we go. And I'm pleased that not only mentors were able to participate today, but we have an ETCA and a couple directors on here. So I feel like there's momentum moving forward to just increase opportunities and spread the good word. You know, that's the interesting thing. I think Jonathan and I can probably echo from each other. There's so many good things we do, but sometimes it's hard to connect all the dots. So here's another opportunity for us to do that. So thank you so much.
You're welcome.
All right, friends. Well, with that, again, contact Jonathan if you have any specific questions, or you need help making a connection to a teacher, you know, all of the above. And then let me get my PowerPoint going here again so that I can share with us the video from Juan Carlos on the why and how of MIDAS. And some of you have heard me talk about this before. This is the tracking system my agency uses for professional development. All right, let's see, one more click, and I think we're there. Oh, we have to screen share. That's an important thing. All right. Here we go. Hopefully you are seeing, oh, and it went back to the banning. Excuse me, let me skip ahead. Oh, goodness. All right. And there we go. We will share Juan Carlos's video now. Thank you.
Welcome, mentors. I'm Juan Carlos Mejia. I work for the USBE Board of Education, and I oversee the MIDAS database. I got the
Okay. I was just going to let you know we couldn't see it.
Oh, goodness. Okay. So glad that you caught me. That was actually an accidental click. So, all right. Oh, because it changed again. I love Zoom. So much fun sometimes with the screen sharing. All right, let me back it up and we'll start it over there again. Julie, are you seeing the right screen this time?
Yeah, I think so. Yep.
All right, here we go.
Welcome, mentors. I'm Juan Carlos Mejia. I work for the USBE Board of Education, and I oversee the MIDAS database. I got the invitation to show you why MIDAS, why you need a MIDAS account. I prepared this document and record this video to facilitate all the information for you. And we're going to start with MIDAS was built by the USBE Board of Education with the single goal and mind of helping local education agencies to provide a simple, more cost-effective way to collect and track professional learning activities. So, if you have a MIDAS account, you will have all your information in just one place regarding to the professional development that you complete, but also for all the credits that you earn. Let's take a look. After we receive your request, review your information, we will create your account, and this is how we can start searching for a class, conference, course, and the MIDAS system. I have the information in here. I will enter my credentials, username and password. Every MIDAS user will land on this home page. The next step for us is click the professional development icon or select the PD courses from the main menu. And this meeting or this conference is related to this class. I'm gonna enter the MIDAS course number 61903 on the first field, nothing on the second field or third field, and I'm gonna click search. And this is the course in a specific that applies to your sessions as a mentor. I'm using a master account for that reason. You see a little more items and on your end in your account, and the next step is going to be just click the more info button. This edit course and add credit and manage course button will not show on your account. I click the more info, and why I'm clicking that more info is the door that gives me access to see the sections. And the sections are different dates, same instructor probably, same section creator. The information is registration deadline, the course is offering online, and we have special notes. I already enrolled for this section as an example to show you in case that you do not remember. Well, but if I review the next one, I see that February 22nd, same instructor, section creator, and the register button is in here. I'm gonna click in here. I will encourage to carefully read the information. The section has been added to your cart, but you still not enrolled. You have not completed that. So this is like going shopping. I have the cart link in here, or which I can click, or I can just from the main menu click the cart option. Either way, I click that. I got to this page. I will review that this is the class in the section that I want to attend, and I'm gonna hit the checkout button. As soon as I do that, I get this new message. You successfully check out at, please check your email for a confirmation notice. And well, this is what I have for you. The team is going to share with you this video as well the document that I prepared. And this document has my information. If you have questions, please feel free to reach out. And thank you for your time. Have a wonderful day.
All right, hopefully the video came through well on the Zoom. I know sometimes it can have a delay, and I have a direct link if anybody needs me to share that out. And like Juan Carlos mentioned, there's a PDF file he's created for us that I will send out with our follow-up email that gives you the instructions to create a MIDAS account should you want to. All right. So the next presenter we have has joined us. Hooray, Michelle, I see you're here. Thank you so much. So let me stop my screen share so that Michelle can take over. She's going to talk to us next about social media safety.
Thanks so much, Amanda. Let me just get everything started.
Absolutely.
1 second.
You're good. I'm still trying to make my PowerPoint stop the slideshow view.
I love having multiple screens until I get so confused on which screen's doing what. Oh, my apologies, everybody. 1 second. Okay, share screen. Perfect. Can everybody see the digital and social media safety? I lost my Zoom screen, so.
I will watch for you. And yes, we can see the screen, and I'll just keep an eye on the chat for you.
Perfect. Thank you so much for that. Yeah, feel free to stop me at any time. So this presentation is for digital and social media safety. Before we begin, my name is Michelle Knight. I'm the Project Aware Coordinator at the State Board of Education. I also work in suicide prevention, mental health. I do a whole slew of like mental health screenings and things like that, as well as crisis response and digital and social media safety training as well. So before we begin, I just want to kind of talk about the dangers, if you will, of social media. And so the first one we want to talk about is throughout this video, there's a veteran's live streamed suicide. It was absolutely horrific. It showed everything that happened. His whole means, it was about 6 minutes long. And this video was uploaded to multiple other sites. Throughout the video, the man is talking to the screen as well as to his girlfriend, and people were chatting in and voicing lots of concerns. Someone had called the police to do a wellness check, but it was too late. In the video, you actually see police entering the home, talking, walking around, investigating before even noticing that the camera was still streaming. And it was reported by thousands of people, but didn't qualify as a violation of any of TikTok's guidelines. This video has been removed, re-uploaded, and even embedded into other videos so many times, it's virtually impossible to take down from the internet now. People even made separate videos and posted tweets warning users not to click on the man at the desk, is what they called it, thumbnail. However, the video was embedded into children's videos. It was embedded into like cute cat videos, pretty much anything that a normal user would want to watch, it was embedded into. So a few seconds into those videos, it would flip to a live stream suicide. And it took me about 2 minutes of a Google search to find it on 3 separate videos, or 3 separate websites, my apologies, none of which had any kind of graphic content warnings. And it's just horrendous. And it is, you can still find it today. This happened about 2 years ago now. And it's just impossible to remove. And unfortunately, it's not the first time for Utah either. So at Skyline, we had this happen as well. On Reddit, a student found a way to post on Instagram. It's called a postmortem timer. And so he had died by suicide, but set his account on Instagram to upload his suicide note at 12 o'clock. Unfortunately, Instagram has a policy that they cannot remove anything before it is officially posted. We got the SROs, the state, we contacted Instagram, we contacted police, and there was nothing that could have been done for it. And it ended up being hundreds of thousands of views and shares before Instagram was allowed to remove it. And it was only a few minutes past 12 by the point that had happened. Same thing, we had a case in St. George where a student's suicide note was live streamed, and it reached 55 million views before it was eventually taken down. Another one that had happened, this one was a very popular case that happened a few years ago. This was in Spanish Fork. This young man had bought a rope for a girl who was 16 years old to hang herself. He filmed her doing it, which was about a 10-minute video. It received national coverage, and he ended up facing charges for murder and desecration of a human body. He pled guilty to child abuse homicide, which is a first-degree felony, and was serving 5 years to life. And again, this video went completely viral. So my apologies for all of this sadness. Let's get into what is digital safety. So digital safety is the act of staying safe online. It's also known as internet safety, online safety, e-safety, cyber safety. It encompasses all technological devices. So anything that has access to the internet, from your personal computers, your laptops, your smartphones, your tablets, all of that encompasses digital safety. And individuals are protecting themselves and others from online harms and risks, which may jeopardize their personal information, lead to unsafe communications, and really affect their mental health and well-being. That's where we see a lot of our cyberbullying happening as well. So cyber hacking is everywhere. So this is a case that happened in Mississippi, I believe, and someone, an older gentleman, actually hacked the Ring camera of an 8-year-old girl whose parents were using that as a security system within their home. And he talked to her on a fairly regular basis, told her he's your best friend, I'm Santa Claus. And then he was asking her to do pretty horrible things, saying things to her mom, you know, like it says, you can break your TV, just awful, awful things. And this is not the first case. There are other cases of people hacking Ring security cameras. And unfortunately, according to Ring's security team and statement, they say no evidence of an authorized intrusion or compromise of Ring systems or networks was found in this case. That was the official statement that Ring released after this hacking. And their response to this hacking as well was, recently we were made aware of an incident where malicious actors obtained some Ring users' account credentials, example, their username and password, from a separate external non-Ring service and reused them to log into Ring accounts. A company spokesperson said, unfortunately, when the same username and password is reused on multiple services, it's possible for bad actors to gain access to many accounts. So Ring's response to being hacked was essentially, it's your fault that you use the same username and password on multiple accounts that also included the Ring account. There was no fault. The person was never caught. There's no way to backtrack them and find out where that hack had come from. It was just, this is what happened. There are other cases of Rings and other security systems. Ring is just one example of being hacked as well, and people calling police to see how fast the response would be if they ever burglarized their home. People talking on the cameras to other people within the house. It's it's everywhere if you just Google it. So what can we do to protect ourselves? So it's called digital hygiene. So just like washing your hands or brushing your teeth, you want to make a habit to scrub your digital persona. And we'll kind of go through how to do that on some of those popular social medias towards the end. But one thing that I always like to do is put a calendar notice for, about 90 or so days to change your passwords. Even if that password is just adding, a 1 at the end, then in 90 days, add a 2, things of that nature. That's already simple changes that'll make it harder for cyber attackers. Change your passwords often. Delete your credit card and debit card numbers from your Google Chrome. I understand how easy it is to just say, here's my credit card information. Like, I don't need to remember these 12, 16 numbers, but that is one of the easiest ways for hackers to get all of your info. And then delete accounts that you no longer use. If you signed up for, that 15% off discount at Bath and Body Works, but you're never going to use Bath and Body Works ever again, delete that account. It's just another way that people can hack your personal information. And in fact, NordVPN, which is a firewall and protection company, said it has found Americans suffer 1.3 billion attacks every year, which works out to be about 33 attacks every second. And their statement says, despite all the changes the internet has seen over the past 3 decades, the #1 way people get into online accounts remains the same, and it's from people reusing their passwords. So if you are using the same passwords for your social media accounts that you use for your banking and any other website you're on, you are putting yourself in the crosshairs of these cyber criminals. The most common hack that it begins with is your email account. Email accounts using that same username and password, then they go through and find other accounts that you have subscribed to and things like that, and it just spreads from there. So one thing that I always like to tell my kiddos, my students, is before you use social media in any kind of way, you think. You want to be sure, is it true? Is it helpful? Is it inspiring? Is it necessary? Is it kind? Because honestly, anything you put out there, it is there forever. It will never, ever be deleted. As much as we try and try and try, you will always be able to find it. So now we'll cover some online safety things. If I could click my screen, perfect. So there are 4 types of online safety, and we'll get into some social media things. So freedom from physical harm, that is your physical safety. You want your freedom from cruelty, harassment, and exposure to potentially disturbing material, psychological safety. And that's kind of the one that we're going to really hit on for this training. We've got freedom from unwanted social, academic, professional, and legal consequences that could affect you for your lifetime. That's reputational and legal safety. And lastly, your identity, property, and community safety includes freedom from theft of identity and property. Any questions before I get into social media? Perfect. Okay. So social media madness. So these are written into Facebook and Instagram, also known as Meta now, terms and agreements. So when you create an account, you give Facebook a sub-licensable, fully paid, royalty-free, worldwide license to use any of your content on or in connection with Facebook. Facebook owns anything you post, you comment, you tag, your photos, your videos, anything. They can use it in their advertisements if they wanted to, and it's royalty free and they don't need to even let you know. Instagram has that same exact thing, but they also, you add, you hereby grant Instagram license to use, modify, delete, add, publicly perform, publicly display, reproduce, translate, content, including without limitation, part or all of the site any media formats throughout any media channels. You allow Instagram, every post you create, every comment you make, you allow them to modify and use all of your content. So they can Photoshop whatever picture you have on there and put it on their own advertisements, and that is fully allowed based on their terms of agreements. Kind of scary to think about. Facebook and Instagram have had a pretty,
I found this on.
sorry, that was my Siri watch, have had a pretty, I would say, good reporting structure in terms of social media when it comes to self-harm, self-injury, suicide risk, things like that. I'm not going to read through this. I'm happy to send out slides if Amanda, if you would like to do that after. And then you can click all the links that are kind of posted. There's this one as well as this next one is Twitter, Snapchat, and YouTube. These all of these sites have links and resources and support centers for reporting suicidal ideation or self-harm. Like I mentioned in the above video, in the above media reports, it takes a while for staff to review the content and decide whether or not this actually should be removed. But it's something to always remember and know. If you ever have a student who is posting about things that you deem unsafe for others, that you can report them, you can reach out to them directly. And then if it comes to it, you can also, you know, report it to police, to the digital safety teams, who can also get it flagged and removed as well. Unfortunately, like I'm saying though, it takes anywhere from hours to days for it to be reviewed by staffers. TikTok, however, has been a different story. And I know that TikTok is our most popular one. TikTok just recently, in September of 2021, created even a guideline for reporting anything on TikTok. Before September 2021, you didn't have even the option to report like self-harm content or suicide prevention content or any of that nature. As of December, just about 2 weeks ago, this report just came out, which researchers at the Center for Countering Digital Hate created TikTok accounts for fictional teen personas in the US, United Kingdom, Canada, and Australia. The researchers operated the accounts and liked videos about self-harm and eating disorders to see how TikTok's algorithm would respond. Does anyone have any idea on what happened with these researchers?
I'm afraid to say anything.
Yeah, so I was afraid as well, but what they found was within less than 5 minutes, their entire feed was recommending videos about losing weight, self-harm, including images of razor blades, discussions of suicide, how best to cut, what veins to cut. Researchers created accounts with usernames that suggested a particular vulnerability to eating disorders, and they were fed even more harmful content about how to, you know, be bulimic or how to burn the most calories without eating anything and things of that nature. And it took less than 10 minutes or less than 5 minutes, I believe was the number, for their entire feed to be inundated with this information. And according to TikTok officials, while we don't allow content that promotes, glorifies, or normalizes suicide, self-harm, or eating disorders, we support people who choose to share their experience to raise awareness and help others who might be struggling and find support among our community. While that sounds very nice, that they are being so supportive, they are not monitoring any of the content, and they are not safe messaging any of this content. They are just allowing anything and everything to be put on. And then we have our new socials every day. Has anyone heard of the newest social media called Be Real? Is anyone familiar with it? So I'll give you a quick rundown on Be Real. Be Real essentially combines two social medias. It combines your Instagram with your Snapchat. So, and what do we know about Snapchat? Those videos disappear, quote unquote. So Be Real is a social media that once a day you post your photo. It actually alerts you when you need to be real. You post a photo, it is both front and back facing, so you get two photos out of it. You then are allowed to see what everyone else has posted on your feed, and then within the day it disappears. So you have 24 hours of your content and then it's gone. Be Real has some reporting for things. They say if you believe that the content is illicit or inappropriate, you can report it and it will be reviewed, same as before. Their statement is, we invite you to report any content of sexual, child pornographic nature, hatred, terrorism, violence, inciting others to endanger themselves, or anything provoking suicide. But their statement also measures, as a hosting company, we are not under general obligation to monitor the information we store. That is also included the information that they receive. So you can report it, but who knows when it will get to them to actually take care of. So just another one to be mindful of. If your kiddos are being real, this is what they're kind of talking about. Here again, I will send these slides to Amanda, but this kind of goes into further depth of what you can do when it's someone's posting about suicidal behaviors, how to report things like that. So now I'm going to get into kind of the depths of social media, and then we'll go into actually how to protect yourself and your students. So Snapchat is kind of the big one, and we use Snapchat in our crisis response a lot. It has a lot of benefits in our field, and so hopefully maybe it can help you guys out as well. So Snapchat states, although we attempt to delete image data as soon as possible after the message is transmitted, we cannot guarantee that the message contents will be deleted in every case. In 2013, Snapchat had to even acknowledge that their pictures and videos are being stored in their database. So even though kiddos thought that within 10 seconds they were gone, they were not. But it is very beneficial for us because Snapchat's quick add feature, if anyone is familiar with Snapchat, there is a feature on it called Quick Add, where it imports your contacts and allows you to add them to your friends list in just one easy click. In cases of cyberbullying or anonymous phone number threats, it's a great feature because you, as the educator, or as myself, a crisis responder, I can add that phone number into my contacts, whether I have a name or not. And if the person has their Snapchat associated to their phone number, it will appear in their setting with their username, their full name, and any other public account information. If the person's location is turned on, such as the screen to my left, that I turn mine on for my personal things, so you can see every one of my friends in that area. If the person's location is public, which is actually the default feature, it will also help locate where that person is currently. So that's how we use it within the field, is if we have cyberbullying cases, or if we have a report that was anonymously given or just with a phone number, that's something that we can do to quickly find a student, whether it's their information or even their location. So sometimes social media can even be a good thing. But with that, you always have to beware. This is kind of the slide that I always tell my kiddos. When you delete content, it is never deleted. It is always accessible. You understand that removed content persists in backup copies. There is no such thing as privacy. Everything can be copied and everyone can see it. And you never know for sure who is seeing it. There are even backups to the internet where you can Google search a website and add in the terms like backup, June 2009, and it will show that website from June 2009. No updates, no new information, just the 2009 version of that website. And that can be done with social media as well. You can look up a social media and find the old versions of it. Another thing that we use quite a bit in the field is called TINEYE, TINEYE. I highly recommend saving this. TINEYE is used to do a reverse image search. It is free and it is available to anyone for use. We have used this resource when images go viral in our schools and we need to track it down and see, was it actually taken like around us, or is it a viral image that has been years out? And we have found images that kind of just have recirculated and have been posted millions of times, and we found brand new images as well. Another way to use this is to catch predators posing as catfish. So specifically, a catfish, for those who don't know, is where a person creates a fictional persona or fake identity on a social networking service to target or deceive someone. We typically see a lot of our predators luring teens with catfish, things like that. I personally am on the ICAC advisory board, which is the Internet Crimes Against Children. And we have used these to catch predators posing as other teens online and attempting to lure kids that way. So you can just either have the image URL or you can upload the image itself. And if that image has appeared anywhere else on the internet prior, it will show you all of those images. So this is definitely one to keep in your box of resources. That's TINEYE. So kind of going back to protect your privacy, I've said it again, I sound like a broken record, but don't post anything you'll ever regret. Keep your profile clean. If you can, sign up for login notifications and two-factor authentications. I know how annoying it is to get that text message to your phone with the code, and then you have to find and put the code in. But that would be really helpful if someone is trying to hack your personal information, even if they found your password. Now it's forcing a text message to your phone, so you would know, hey, I wasn't the one to do this. I should go change my password. I can deny this information. So if you can, sign up for those. If you don't want to for your social medias, at least definitely do it for your bank accounts and anything of that nature. So review posts and only allow your friends to tag you. That is a setting on, I know Facebook has that setting where instead of allowing tags for everyone, you have to review each and every tag. Yes, it can get tedious, but it's very helpful. So you know that things that are being posted are actually things that you want. Never, ever, ever post your private information online. We see kiddos posting their driver's licenses, their credit cards, their, like, you name it, they're posting it. So that's something to always remember. Please do not, please talk about that with them. Don't post your private information. And then set all of your privacy settings to only people you know. That's a big one. So now we're going to get into just kind of Instagram and Facebook, how to actually set this. Feel free to follow along with, your own phones. But I took screenshots of my own profile. Granted, this is from a few years ago, these screenshots. But if you're on your mobile app and you're doing Instagram, what you want to do is you want to click on those 3 lines in the top right corner. Then you want to go to your settings page, your privacy, and you want to make your account private, what this will do is you can see that little lockbox next to my name. It'll make sure that if anyone searches you, none of your posts come up, none of your information, none of your stories. All they'll be able to see is your username and that little tiny picture in your corner. They won't be able to see anything else. You can't click on people's followers and go into a deeper dive with other people. It's totally private until they request you. And at that point, from the request, you have to accept or deny whether or not they can see your profile. We have the same thing on Facebook. So this is the Facebook on your computer. You can view your profile as other people would. So if you click those three dots and click view as, you can now change who can see different things on your view. And so from the left side, you can see much more information. You can see where I grew up in Orfield, Pennsylvania. You can see my phone number. You can see my birthday information, all sorts of things. But in that new view, you now cannot see a phone number. My birthday is gone. My hometown is gone. And even my previous work experience is gone. So that's something. And then the same thing can be viewed on your phone. So if you look, same three dots, and then that view as, it'll change your profile. So that was kind of a quick rundown on social media and digital media threats. I do have my email on here. I'm open for questions as well. And then, yeah, if anyone needs more information, like I said, I will send out this slide deck for Amanda to send to you guys as well, so you guys can kind of go through it. I ask that you please don't share it, as it has my cell phone number and things like that, my Facebook and Instagram. If you do plan to share it, please just delete those slides. That's all I ask. But overall, I'm very happy to help out, and yeah.
Thank you, Michelle. I really appreciate that.
Yeah, thank you, Amanda.
That was eye-opening, I think, is what I'm trying to get my mouth to say. A little terrifying at the same time, but eye-opening.
Oh yeah, I never want my child to, own a smartphone, period. I'm going back to flip phones.
I am having some conversations in my head as you were presenting today, but I appreciate that there's at least some, resources to try and, make the profiles private. And I really love what you shared in the PowerPoint about, how the kids can set themselves up for success without, sharing personal information. I hadn't even thought about driver's licenses, and I can totally see kids being like, yeah, I got my driver's license, and throwing it up on social media, which, wow, yeah, that's scary when you think about it,
So do I still have a few minutes?
You do. You actually have 20. We are ahead of schedule today.
Oh, cool. I just, not to scare you even further, but like I mentioned, I'm on the ICAC board, and we've even seen predators use the bumper stickers that are on people's cars, like honor student of blank elementary school, and they'll track and find that elementary school student just from a bumper sticker. And things like that. So it's like, and like you said, the driver's license, they find your address immediately from that. And it's very easy to find, full name, they know exactly what you look like, where you live, everything. And so it's very scary stuff.
Yeah, we had a personal experience where somebody just saw the jacket of the school my kid was wearing in a picture I put up. And then a comment came to me that they were like, oh, I know exactly where that is. And that was just unsettling in itself. So that was an aha for me to not even post the, pictures that have the school logos or any of that information as well. So we did have a question in the chat, and I'm curious, is it possible to completely erase your digital footprint?
I would say no, not completely. It is possible. There are ways to delete old accounts. For example, I grew up in the MySpace era, and I was, 12 years old and posting ridiculous things. I actually was able to go in and fully delete my MySpace account. Whether that's deleted from existence, I would guess not. I'm sure it's backed up somewhere, but it would be very, very difficult to find at this point. So not completely, there will always be some sort of backup or something, but you can go in and delete old accounts to a point of not having it easily accessible. Like someone would really, really have to dig in to find things like that. And then our items sent through Facebook Messenger also not safe, even if deleted. Correct. It is still trackable. Yeah, there is nothing online or in social media that, yep, exactly. Once it's online, once it's on the internet, it is never, ever gone. And like I said, that comes in when you do the backups of the internet, you can find pages. I mean, I found photos on Instagram that I had long deleted, but you just look up a backup version of, Instagram 2014, and they're all there, whether you deleted them or not. So yeah, so on one hand, super helpful for our law enforcement or ICAC. They can trace, track, find, whatever. On the other hand, like I mentioned, once it's there, it's never gone. So if there's, an inappropriate image online circling around, it will always be visible, be available, I should say. But we can also use that to our advantage sometimes. So pros and cons.
And give and the take with it, absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, if anybody has any specific questions, you've got time now. And if not, I know that none of us will be sad to have time back in our days, because I know we are all very busy humans. Michelle left one meeting to come to present. It's always this never-ending dance from one thing to the next. So, but again, we have a minute if somebody has a question.
Well, I'm happy to give a few minutes back to your days.
All right.
Just wanted to say hi. How are you, Amanda?
Hi, Dawn. Thank you. We're doing well. We've made it to the new year again already.
Yes, thank you all for presenting today. Appreciate it.
All right, friends. Well, with that, if you have, there's one more that just popped in the chat. Aside from deleting and or changing passwords, what is the top thing you can do to remain safe online?
I would say just the privacy settings for all of your accounts. Excuse me. That would be one of the most important things, just because it's just another barrier that cyber hackers, predators, things of that nature have to get through before being able to find you. So if you can set all of your privacy settings to being, only private, only your friends and family who you accept, then you at least know that the people seeing your information are people that you want to be able to see your information. That is definitely it. Another thing is, we've probably all been through those company-wide trainings. Don't click any links that you don't know about. Don't, even sending money. We now have so many apps, PayPal, Venmo, Cash App. I think Zelle is a new one as well. Be really mindful of that information. I don't ever like to keep, more than, $50 in those kinds of accounts, because you just never know when those are going to get hacked and swiped and moved and things like that. So yeah, I would say privacy accounts and just being really, really cautious of what you do on the internet, the websites you're going to, the links you click on.
Oh, unfortunately, one of them got hacked on Zelle already. So,
Exactly. Yeah.
so I wanted to ask a question because I was processing what you said about deleting old accounts. Is it enough to unsubscribe, or do I need to like go into the Bed Bath & Beyond website and actually like delete my account?
Yeah, so unsubscribing, all that does is it kind of just removes your email from their server list, which is on one hand, it's one step to the cybersecurity, because if they were to hack that list and go into everyone's emails, yours wouldn't be on that list. But to fully secure yourself, to fully be untraceable for that website, you'd have to actually go in and delete your account fully. And a lot of these websites make it very hard to find to do that. They do not want you to delete your account from it. They don't want you to request your data from that account. And so they'll bury it like deep into the settings. So always trying to use the help button to either locate the delete button, use the contact us, text service or whatever they use to request a deletion, and be prepared. There will probably be hoops to jump through to actually get a deletion, because lots of these websites do not want to see you go.
They like our data, unfortunately.
Yeah, and a lot of websites, if you're ever curious, a lot of websites even have like a request data button, and you can see all of the information that they have on you, and even like websites on other website information that they've collected through a third party, or you've clicked on this link, so now everything that's attached to that photo, that cute pair of boots, is now sent to every single other website, shopping website, advertisement website, social media website. And it's scary to go down that rabbit hole to see, wow, one time 10 years ago I clicked on boots, and now every single website on planet Earth knows that I like black leather boots. Like, it's mind-boggling.
There was a new comment about, should we accept cookies?
If you know the website, if you're comfortable with the website, I would be okay with it. They make cookies very, very deceiving, because cookies take your location information, they take the advertisements that you click on, they track your movement. But at the same time, if you deny cookies, the website doesn't work properly. And that's kind of where they trap you, is if you want a fast-paced moving website with all of the bells and whistles features, then you're kind of forced to accept it. Some websites, if possible, they'll allow, you can choose which cookies to allow. And so you can unclick like sharing location or selling my data to a third party, things like that. Oh, I also really want a chocolate chip cookie, Benji. But overall, I mean, I don't think you can really escape from cookies on websites. I would, however, say every once in a while, in that 90-day period, I would clear all of your cookies and your browser history and your caches and all that saved information. It would get annoying, I know, to have to re-accept everything on every single website, but just doing that might help you just a little bit. And then how about use your location requests? I personally don't allow anything ever to use my location. I do not want to be found. That's just me. But again, when you're using apps like, Google Maps, how can you get away from that? They have to know where you are to give you GPS. So I think it's just a matter of being mindful of the website. If that website needs your location, okay, you can't get away from that. But if there is no reason for anything to have that your location, I would not accept it. And it's the same thing with when you check into places on Facebook or Instagram, I mean, how easy is it for someone to see, oh, look, I know where you are now. So I always say, if you're gonna post a photo or tag it or something, do a general, like I sometimes tag, Bountiful, period. Not the store, not the park, not anything like that, just the general city. That's a better tag. I avoid check-ins to places. If I really love a place, I'll write them a review. I won't check into them. But again, that's me personally. I may also be more paranoid because I live and breathe this day in and day out, but just food for thought.
Yeah, I think that's a good perspective. I mean, you're seeing the full picture, the full gamut of what, the reality of the situation. Absolutely. So
yeah, and especially once you see how little the hackers or even predators need, they need a snippet of information and they can find everything about your entire life. And that, just knowing that is enough for me to stay clear.
I think I've just accepted that there's no privacy in the universe anymore.
Oh no, yeah. Yeah, Big Brother is always watching, or as the kids say, FBI guy.
We have new terminology. Thank you for the update.
Yeah, FBI guy is always watching. They always know.
I always tease, if you really want to see my boring life, welcome in.
Yes.
So, all right, well, thank you so much, Michelle. That was very informative. And I would love to share out the slides. So if you would send them to me, I'll make them a PDF and send them out with my follow-up, as well as, like we said earlier, the handout from Juan Carlos. So friends, we're pretty much to the end. Unless we have any other questions, I think we'll call it and go ahead and end here. I'm not seeing any questions in the chat or anybody come off mute. So I think we are there. Thank you so much. I appreciate everybody's time today, and we'll get the recording posted as soon as I can. Please follow up if you have any questions, and have a wonderful afternoon. Thank you so much.